You are the most middleweight person. Nothing has changed in the year. But also, what do you mean by like the top? Because this is supposed to be like your favorite thing. What do you mean by what's going on in middleweight? All right, welcome to another episode to Fight Fans. We talk about all things in combat sports. I'm one fight fan, Colin,
And I'm the other Stuart.
and well, we alluded to this last time. A lot of fucking shit has happened since we recorded like 2 weeks ago. And
Yeah. Not all great.
Not all
Most
great
of it
stuff.
not great.
some okay. But I was thinking, in that light, we're halfway through 2025 so far. And
Holy shit.
I know, right? And I thought maybe let's recap our 5 top events or stories that we are happy about in 2025 so far.
Ooh, okay.
Get a little positivity going in here. We gotta look for the good, you know? Gotta look for the good. So,
all right, well, why don't you kick it off? Because I have to magically summon my top 5 with 0 prep right now.
I know.
Yeah, so why don't you start at your number 5?
Okay, well, these are in no particular order for me, but
Oh, Jesus. You got to put some sort of ranking on there, man.
come on, man. You know me.
Yeah, you're
You
indecisive as
follow
fuck.
my rankings anyway, so like it doesn't matter.
All right.
But the reason I thought of that is because it's one of the announcements that happened 2 weeks ago. Jon Jones has retired from fighting. And now Tom Aspinall has been elevated to the undisputed heavyweight champion, as he should and was. So,
yeah.
On the one hand, we now have some direction and clarity in terms of the heavyweight division. What will happen with Tom Aspinall? I think he will be staying champion for a very long time until either A, he retires, or maybe Big Fran comes back. And then that could be interesting, you know? So the likelihood of that ever happening, though, probably not happening. But with Jon Jones retiring, we don't have to do a whole retrospective on him. I want to ask you really quickly, Stu. With the way that he has handled pretty much the last 8 years of his career, you know? Like, okay, maybe 6, whatever, you know? Do you think that puts a stain or tarnish on whatever legacy he wants to leave? Because he's always talked about, like, legacy and whatnot. Do you feel like that this is, like, a very unceremonious end to what should be a very, like, illustrious, goated career?
Ooh, I've got so many things to say.
Yes, yeah, I do.
Number 1, I'm so happy to never have to talk about Jon Jones again. Seems like a deplorable human. And Kaposa, for any of you still on Twitter, X, whatever the fuck it's called, the actual one true fight fan on this planet, Kaposa, had said, very rarely does somebody moving up and capturing a title in a second division actually tarnish their career. And yet Jon Jones, in a first, just like many other firsts in his career, has made his heavyweight title and campaign a tarnish, a blemish, a pimple on the ass of his career.
Ah, okay.
And now he is leaving it to Tom Aspinall, which you have correctly said should have always been. But in the words of Trent Reznor, you could have it all, my empire of dirt. And that's exactly what the heavyweight division is. It's a wasteland. It's nothing for Tom Aspinall to rule over. The only fight that was interesting in this entire division was Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. And so Tom Aspinall doing us dirty again, shivving us right in the kidney as he leaves.
You mean Jon Jones? Jon Jones did that.
Not Tom Aspinall. Jon Jones. Leaves this division bleeding out in an Arby's parking lot. It's a bad look, man. It's a bad fucking look. So yes, I think the way Jon Jones handled his heavyweight, and we have to say, the UFC. The UFC never needed to make the Stipe Miocic fight. It was stupid
Yeah.
as shit. It sounds like the UFC has known since February of this year that John Jones was clearly not going to fight and thought, oh, we'll get him to do it. But he was never going to. And so they dragged it out for 6 fucking months before they finally announced at midnight in Azerbaijan in an offhanded comment that he was no longer the champion. They didn't have a video package prepared for Tom. They didn't do anything. Like, and now we're still waiting. When is Tom's fight going to be announced? It wasn't followed up quickly by, hey, MSG, this year it's Tom Aspinall. We're still in this weird limbo of like, okay, he's been promoted, but only via UFC social channels.
Yeah.
The UFC has roundly botched this. And it's something where, again, of the 3 super fights we really wanted the UFC to put on for us this year, or last year, in the past 2 years, we'll say, it was Francis versus John. They failed to put that on. It was Tom Aspinall versus John. They failed to put that on. And Ilya Topuria versus Islam Makhachev. They still have a chance to put it on, but more than likely, they did not put it on. So, for being the so-called best promoter in the MMA space, they seem to really fucking botch putting on the best fights overall.
Yeah.
Those are my fucking thoughts. I mean, what are your thoughts about this shit? Because it's... I'm glad we don't have to talk about John, but here we are talking about John, but at the same time, I'm like, he left the UFC in such a way that it only made it worse for Tom Aspinall.
Yeah, I mean, he made it worse in that, like there was no clear, like, turnover, like we've talked about before. You know, where it was like, okay, very clear that the title has changed hands. It has shifted from the old to the new, you know? And there was never like okay, John Jones officially retired, and now we have like kind of like what we had with lightweight, you know, with Ilya and Charles. Like there was an official, like, okay, here we go. They're fighting to be the next champion because Islam vacated. Now, that alone is its own like issue there, but it was just like we had this champion, we have an interim champion. When you have an interim champion, you're supposed to meet with the champion to unify the belts. We never got that. So now it's just like, oh, here's your belt now, Tom Aspinall. Like, so, and it's not for Tom Aspinall's like anything. It wasn't like he was injured the whole time. It wasn't like they kept having fights, but they had fights lined up, but things kept falling through. It was like, I'm ready. Let's do this. He was like, he wanted to go, but it was just John dicking around the whole time. So, like, I can't.
Well, and hold on. It was the UFC dicking around the whole time, it sounds like.
I mean, it's both. It sounds like both.
And whether it's John Jones leading them on, but like, dude, the UFC had no problem when Francis Ngannou wasn't ready to return 2.5 months after defeating Stipe Miocic. Or yeah, they put an interim belt on Derek Lewis versus Cyril Gane in Houston, Texas. That was 2.5 months after Francis Ngannou won the belt. They fucking waited 9 months to strip John Jones and finally declare this thing. Right?
Yeah.
2.5 months off of Francis knocking out Stipe Miocic and being like, hey, I need more than 3 months to turn around. And they were like, fuck that, there's an interim belt now. They could have stripped John at any moment, especially because, according to him, which maybe he's lying, but I don't know why he would lie about the specifics of being in February rather than January or December. They knew about this shit for 6 months before they announced it. 6 full months, man. Ugh. Terrible.
Yeah. Feels
like
bad.
John Jones or Tom Aspinall sat out this whole time.
Yeah.
Like, we lost out on him fight. He could have already beaten Cyril Gane and Alexander Volkov again and already surpassed the number of title defenses at heavyweight in the time that he sat out waiting for John.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all I would say is make no mistake about it. When Tom Aspinall said he would retire John without fighting him, that's exactly what he fucking did. And don't let anyone rewrite the history on that. That's exactly what he fucking did. So, Colin, In you bringing this up,
Mm.
who do you want to see Tom Aspinall fight for his first undisputed title defense?
Oh, Jesus.
And it can't
I
be
mean,
Francis. Let's not get it twisted.
okay. All right, let me just pull up these.
The fact that you have to like let me open up this tome of who is in here
Yeah.
and blow the dust off it. Like you're fucking Gandalf researching what the fuck's
Yeah.
about to go down in
I'm
Mordor.
in the deep library now.
Yeah, it's not good, man.
I mean, really, I guess Cyril Gahn. That's
That's the
really
only
the only
one.
one. Yeah.
Because he's beat Curtis Blades, he's beat Pavlovich, he's beat Volkov.
Volkov. Yeah.
He's beat right. He could have a trilogy with Curtis Blades, but I don't know how great that's gonna go. Like,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate that we might have a generationally great and historically great heavyweight on our hands, and yet he is in a historically weak moment in the
Yeah.
heavyweight division.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's really your number 5. That's your thing that you love about this year so far.
Dude, I didn't say it was my 5th favorite one. I'm saying that it's a good thing that it happened because now we can move forward.
Yeah, fuck me, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's yikes. That's a real yikes, man.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hopeful that something will develop, something will come out, someone will come out for the heavyweight division to actually help carry it forward because yeah, we may have a situation where we have someone who could be like a superstar in the heavyweight who could, I can't believe I'm going to say this, make heavyweight great again with fucking Tom Aspinall, but
You
there's
can't
no
say
one
that
there with him.
anymore.
Yeah, but there's no one to
Y
actually challenge him, you know?
Yeah, no, you need 2 to tango, and, unfortunately, it's just 1 large Englishman trying to dance, and you know that's never gonna go super well. It's a rough one, it's a rough one. Um, well, let's take it to my number 5 because 'cause I'm actually gonna rank these fucking things, unlike Cullen the coward.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the 5th best thing that's happened this year so far, the 5th thing that I'm most excited for in this sport.
All right.
And that is the full turnover of the welterweight division. We're talking about Jack Della Maddalena
Yep.
beating Bilal Muhammad. We're talking about Sean Brady smoking Leon Edwards. We're talking about Ian Machado Gary proving that Carlos Prates is not good enough. Are we talking about Joaquin Buckley getting repelled by the Unk Kamaru Usman? Possibly. Possibly. But what we're saying is that with Islam Makhachev moving up, we have insane youthful movement in the welterweight division. Colin, I pointed this out to you before. There are a majority of fighters in the top 15 across all weight divisions above 30 than there are under 30. And
Yeah.
that's not good for the future of these divisions. However, welterweight is a shining bright spot, especially when it comes to number 1 contenders. We have Shavkat Rakhmonov. We have not Bilal Muhammad. We have Sean Brady. We have Ian Machado Gary. We have some really great young fighters that we get to look forward to. We have Michael Morales, who took fucking Gilbert Burns to the glue factory, which we love to see. That's my big, like, I'm excited because the UFC's welterweight division had been the division of old ass men for a
Yep.
long time. And now we are finally getting that turnover. And this coming weekend, not this coming weekend, the weekend after. You get what I'm saying. We're going to have more turnover when Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fights Gabriel Bonfim. And I think that'll probably continue the trend. But it's good to see this turnover in this division.
Mhm.
What say you to that?
Yeah, that was one of my thoughts as well. Like just seeing because okay, to be honest, for a while, I think for most of last year, I was not really excited about welterweight. I was really
Mhm.
only excited about Shavkat, and I kind of thought it was going to be like, okay, Shavkat wins the championship, and kind of like where we're at with heavyweight right now, no one can challenge him. Like, and it's just going to be the Shavkat show for a while. But we're seeing some new talent crop up, starting to develop, and it is starting to become interesting, you know. And with the introduction of Islam moving up to it, like that adds a whole new set of dynamics to it. So yeah, I was definitely like this time last year, I was like, no, welterweight, I like don't really care about. Like I'm not really that interested in that division. But now, like, yeah, exactly like you're right. There are more entertaining fighters, there's more entertaining matchups, and there's going to be a lot of movement. So, and if Islam comes in, and let's say he takes the title from Jack Della Maddalena, and then Ilya goes,
Ooh.
yeah, sure, I'll come up to welterweight too. Like, now we've just made this whole thing like really exciting and dynamic.
Yeah, so sexy for
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
That's what we love. All right, give me your number. Well, I guess it's not number. Just give me another one of yours.
All right. I do like that there are a few like high profile, good boxing matchups that are set up for the latter part of this year.
Okay, are we looking back at the first half, or are we looking forward as well? Is this kind of a smorgasbord of like what we liked at this moment in time?
I'm saying what has happened now that includes future announcements.
Okay, so give me a couple of those fights.
Well, we got you told me, like Taylor Serrano 3 is what, next weekend or 2 weekends?
Yeah, the 11th.
Yeah, well, that's next weekend. Yeah, that's one. We've got fucking Canelo and Terrence Crawford,
Yes,
and we've
the
got
last interesting fight that Canelo will ever be in.
yeah, and we've got Usyk and Dubois.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good shit, right?
Yeah,
And like
yeah,
so far, we've had great in-away fights. We've had Bam Rodriguez fight. We've
yeah,
had good fights in boxing so far this year as well.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
The one thing with boxing I am upset about is Lomachenko officially retiring. That does make me sad because he is one of my favorites. He's one of my boys, one of my
yeah, but
little
he's
boys.
old, man.
Hey, so
Well, like you don't want your like old little man boys to go out there and get crushed, do you?
I mean that's true, but his last fight he looked sensational. He looked great. You know,
Yeah, but like not against like the best fighter.
I mean sure, but
Yeah. And we've been eating good this year, like, and I think later this year we're also getting a rematch between Cruz and Ferrero, if I'm not mistaken. Um, like we're gonna get a great rematch. We're gonna get Better Bivol 3, which we already got their
oh,
second fight
we're
this
getting a
year.
third one.
I believe so. I think it's due for
Ah,
October of this year as well.
oh, okay.
Um, yeah, so like we're gonna get Ortiz and Ferrero again. Like this is or not Ortiz, Cruz and Fierro again. Um, so yeah, this is a good year for boxing. Not
Yeah,
as good as when we started, but yeah, and some good matchups to go along with it. I agree.
yeah,
That's the good shit. And yeah, like the Netflix card, we're gonna talk about it more next week, but it's promoted by Jake Paul's is it MVP Promotions? And it's an all women's main card fight.
oh
And
really?
that's for an MSG card and being on Netflix, like that's the kind of pop women's boxing needs. And nobody is taking care of women's boxing like Jake Paul. As much as that's baffling to say, because he
Yeah,
strikes me as a huge misogynist, like he's the guy out there in the trenches fighting for women's boxing, which I appreciate, dude. I
yeah,
appreciate.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see that he's ranked now?
Yeah. Well, who was it? The WBO, like the most, or the WBC, the most like corrupt organization in the entire belt system. Yeah, it's just so he can get a title shot against who was it against? I'm not sure. But dude, if he fights for a title at cruiserweight, even though cruiserweight is like kind of historically weak right now, I'd have to give him props, right?
Mhm.
I'd have to give him props for walking out to the front line with no weapon, right? Like, or to enter the gladiator arena with no armor. Like, I'd have to go, like, you know what? Fucking props to you, man. Like, you went in there and, like, really showed out. But he'll get executed if he fights for a cruiserweight title fight. Like,
Yeah.
it's just not going to happen. And he's calling for a Deontay. Oh, I'll ask you this. Here's a little side off. Deontay Wilder washed his shit. Did bare knuckle boxing recently. I think
He
it took to
did?
this. Yeah, bare knuckle MMA took to the 6th round to knock the guy out. I think. Deontay Wilder versus Jake Paul right now. Who wins that fight in boxing?
Ugh. I mean, I have to say Deontay Wilder, But at the same
Really?
time, Jake
Really?
Paul's just been beating up like old wash fighters. So
Yeah.
like, I mean, yeah,
And he knows how to do it, man. He's not dumb. He knows how to do it.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
but it's like we talked about before. Like, he looks like someone who, as soon as he gets hit, is like very afraid of that. You know?
sure. But dude, Deontay Wilder is washed as shit. He's fucking he's acid washed jeans, man. He's donezo. He's
Hey,
donezo.
some people pay big money for that now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They do. For specific reasons, not usually having to do with the fighting ability. All right, let's go on to my number 4. My
Yeah,
number
yeah,
4 for the best thing that's happened in MMA or just fight sports overall this year,
yeah.
um, is the ascendancy of the flyweight division.
Yes, yes.
This
I have that
mostly
listed
has
too.
this mostly has occurred in the past, like basically UFC 317, but Josh Van really showing up and showing that like he can be kind of a mini face of MMA. And then Pantoja showing that he's got that dog in him and is a very special fighter. And beyond all of that, Pantoja being a stud, Josh Van absolutely being the number one boy of the Two Fight Fans podcast, but also
uh,
the rise of Demetrius Johnson amongst Gen Z viewers because of his social media platform and partnering with the loathsome types like MMA Guru. Uh, he's actually probably more popular now as just an MMA personality on YouTube than he was when he was the pound for pound best fighter in the world. But that helps the flyweight division gain some legitimacy. And along with an exciting, possibly the most exciting contender in any division, Josh Van, and an absolute stud of champion like Pantoja, flyweight is poised to be the hottest it's ever been
yeah,
amongst the casual audience. And
yeah,
I love to see it, man. I love to
yeah,
see it.
yeah. I'm 100% in agreement with you. And my just again, I'm so excited for flyweight. I've always loved flyweight. You know, they have some of the most talented, most skilled fighters, like nonstop action, putting on the pace there. But we have a champion right now. We talked at length last time, who is just getting better and like doesn't seem to be slowing down. And like we have someone who is like kind of like I don't want he is like this generation's Demetrius Johnson who can do it all and he can put on an entertaining fights and he can go for finishes and he can just do things that like separate himself from he demonstrates why he's champion every single time. He's just head and shoulders above everyone else. And that's really exciting to see in such a dynamic and exciting division like flyweight. But we do kind of like how you alluded to in welterweight. We have a new crop of really exciting young hungry fighters coming in. I mean, Josh Van, 23, Tatsuro Taira, like 24, 25, something like this here. So while we're getting some really good, you know, entertaining champion fights right now in Pantoja, if and when he retires, whenever, you know, there will be a new crop to hopefully continue the push to make the flyweight division like one of the most exciting divisions to actually watch. And I'm really hoping the UFC takes some notes and like helps build up the division now and helps build the personalities, the individuals by like not shuffling the top contenders into a fucking Apex card that no one's ever going to watch, you know?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Which is good what they did this last one where they had Josh Van, you know, in the third slot, you know,
Yeah, it was
fighting
like
Red
they're
Robot.
actually promoting a fucking fight, man. Feels like
Yeah.
they actually gave a shit for a minute.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
It was good. It was good. Yeah, it's lightweight is, and I think that's so important because people can get excited by a champion or a number one contender, but then you go, what if they both leave? What if John Jones and Tom Aspinall leaves? What does heavyweight look like? What if Magomed Ankalaev and Alex Pereira leave light heavyweight, and then you look around and you go like, fuck, Jamal Hill's gonna be the third best fighter in this division? That's not a good look. That's not a good look. But flyweight is poised to go like, hey, if we lose Pantoja, it'll be a tragedy because he's a special fighter. But we have other special fighters as well. and we have other ones that can make fight of the year contenders, just like Josh Van and Brandon Royval. Yeah, flyweight poised to actually have kind of a hot boy summer. I think that's kind of what's going on. Yeah. All right, what's your vague number 3, or whichever one you decided to mention third?
Well, that was actually going to be my third one. It was actually the rise of the flyweight division, and specifically Pantoja solidifying himself as like the king of the flyweights. Like,
great. Yeah.
I've been so entertained and so like, I mean, literally, we started this podcast with like, I think our like 8th episode or something with Pantoja's title defense against Steve Ursig, and the evolution of him from then to now, like, he's still a champion. He's just an even better champion, and I'm enamored with him.
Like, dude, Ursig, I picked Ursig to win that fight, and Ursig lost that fight only because of a donkey brain decision in the 5th round.
Yep.
That Ursig against this Pantoja gets washed in a minute, man.
Yeah, like first round, done.
Yeah, this is an entirely different fighter, and he's fucking 35 years old. So shout out to the old men, because goddamn, Pantoja is really, it's making me want to hit the gym. Yeah, he's flyweight, man. It's that Figgy and Moreno quadrilogy is so important to the division, but the division hasn't been as exciting as it is now since they were in that quadrilogy. It's stellar at the moment. All right, so we've passed your number 3, which we'll get to my number 3 in a minute. Let's get to your number 2. It's not quite the best.
No, you give me your 3. Give me your 3.
My 3?
Stay even here. Yeah. What's your third one?
My 3 is actually, and this is gonna be weird, and I feel weird saying it, especially after flyweight, because I love flyweight, and it's such a more talented division than this. Middleweight, man. What's going on there?
Wait,
middleweight.
Wait, hold on. One, you are the most middleweight person. Nothing has changed in the year. But also, what do you mean by like the top? Because this is supposed to be like your favorite thing. What do you mean by what's going on in middleweight? Like, what do you
middleweight, man? What's going on there? I don't know. There's something. It's kind of like you're at a bar and you look across the bar, and there's like a gorgeous woman across the bar looking at you, and you go, "Holy shit, I got no chance with that." And just behind her is a freaky little goth chick, and you're like, "What's going on over there? What's that action?" That's what middleweight is to me right now. I'm like, DDP's out there. What's he doing? Hamza Chimaev's there. What's he doing? Robert Whittaker has new teeth and is going to come back and fight Renier de Ritter, who just smoked Bo Nickel. Holy shit, okay. Like, color me interested. And then also Anthony Fluffy Hernandez is on like a win streak, and maybe he'll be fighting for the title next. I don't know. That sounds fucking cool, man. Kamaru Usman toying with the fact that he might move up to middleweight. All of that is to say, I know that there are better, sexier divisions. Lightweight is obviously better and sexier. Welterweight is obviously better and sexier. Flyweight is better and sexier. Bantamweight and Marab and his ascension is better and sexier. But there's something that pulls me back, man. There's something about the imperfection of middleweight that makes me go, I can imagine your true beauty. But it is that imperfection that doesn't make me feel self-conscious enough not to embrace you fully. You know what I'm saying? Did you get the feeling I'm conveying? Right? Lightweight's too hot for me. It's just too sexy. I know I'll never have a chance, so I'm not going to hit on lightweight. But middleweight, I'm a little off about that. There's a weird facial tick. There's that weird mole they've got. They're balding a little bit. And I'm like, doesn't matter. There's something extremely intriguing about middleweight. And just where we're at, moving into the second half, we've got Robert Whittaker versus Renier de Ritter, Hamza Chimaev versus Rick Duplessis. It sounds like Izzy versus Strickland too. There's a bunch of weird shit going on that I'm super into. And that's a middleweight, baby. Hobocop knocking out and nearly killing Jack Hermanson. Like there's movement in the middleweight division, like there is movement of gas in my lower intestines. And sometimes it's uncomfortable and sometimes it's a great relief. But I'm excited to see what the end result is. 9 times out of 10, it's a massive wet fart, but it could be good. It could be good.
Oh my
Who's
god.
to say? So middleweight, number 3, baby. That's where I'm at.
All right, that's fair.
How do you feel about that? Are you interested in middleweight at all?
I am interested. Just I like for morbid curiosity. I need to
Yeah.
know what is going to happen with Hamza and DDP if it happens at all. Like because again, we never know. But like that is just like an insane matchup to me. You've got like the craziest first round fighter out there versus I don't know how to categorize DDP. Like
I mean,
we
they
said,
both
non-Euclidean geometry, man. Like,
yeah. I mean, they both are the quintessential athleticism is cheating.
yep.
Just one of them is if you put them into a T1000 Terminator that self-destructed after a round, and the other one you put into, I don't know, a rusted automaton that's lasted 1,000 years and never dies. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty fucking cool, dude. It's pretty cool. I'll be excited to watch it. Yeah. So middleweight, like you know what? Middleweight, man. It's my number 3. It's the most mid in this rankings I could put it, and that's where it is. Middleweight, baby.
All right.
I love it. I hate it. It's the bane of my existence. It's my heroin. It's my fentanyl. You'll find me sniffing middleweight fights out behind a dumpster somewhere. That's where I'm at. All right, your penultimate thing you're most excited for, most thankful for, it's the greatest of this year. Lay it on me.
All right. A couple things here with this, because also there's going to be some background with this. Well, okay, it's in the same vein. Specifically, I am very happy that Volk became a two-time champ at the age that he is. And it shows, okay, we talked about this last time, about how, when some of these fighters who came up and killed all of our heroes, like we were cheering them on.
Mm-hmm.
I did not with Volk. Volk was not one of those. Because when he kept beating Max Holloway, I was just sitting there rocking the corner, going, no, Max Holloway, no, fuck this guy. Like, I was not very, very pro Volk. I even said on this podcast, I was like, after getting, like, seeing him now, like, go up against, to try and reclaim the throne and see if he could do it and see how he did it, like, I was, like, very, like, I was won over by him, and maybe that's kind of a recency bias with it, but, like, I was just very impressed what he was able to accomplish, how he was able to do it in the division of Kings that was noted, and at the age that he's done. So it was kind of inspiring to see for me. And kind of in the same light, seeing how Rob is able to just manhandle everyone at his age too. Like, he's not as old as Volk, but he's like, what, 33? 34, I think.
Yeah.
And just seeing like how this guy who, I don't think I didn't give him a shot. I didn't think he was going to win, at the Sphere against Sean O'Malley. Again, I think we talked about this, and you said you called that he was going to win it, but just the way he did it in just such a dominant fashion, like kind of like Pantoja, just seeing how dominant he's been in his title runs and title defenses, like it's been good, So both those guys being, kings of their shorter division or their smaller weight class divisions, and just at the age that they're doing it and the way they're performing at this age, just like it's very impressive and fair.
Those old short kings. That's a good call out.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to approach this list, I think. That's good. No, I give it props. Right, because I was going to put UFC 300 as like a nice, hey, look, the sport is coming back. But I have to put as my number 2.
Wait, that was last year, dude.
300?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Well, then never mind. Fuck that. Then I don't even
300
need
was literally a year ago. Like,
dude.
Whole year.
Yeah, I know. Well, my brain's applesauce, and like, look at what sort of events the UFC's put on since then, in which my brain goes, well, that was this year, right? So fuck that. Good for Volkanovski and Merab.
Yeah.
Kind of mix their names up there. My number 2, though, I was going to put a specific event, but now that you've illuminated that I can't even put UFC 300, I don't even need to give this little preamble. What I can say is I'm really happy, and I mean this genuinely. It's going to sound really cynical and like tongue-in-cheek, but I do mean it genuinely. I'm really kind of pleased that the UFC audience and the UFC brand as a whole has fully embraced the type of people that it wants to go after.
Okay.
Fans sucking the dick of Conor McGregor, a convicted rapist, and John Jones, an undeniable horrible person. Dana White being at the Trump, what do you want to call it, shitty military parade that nobody attended. Trump coming out to all these events, having CBS Sports, having ESPN, having a ton of these organizations turn their back on MMA overall for being the white nationalist MAGA hotbed that it can be, I think is a nice moment for us all to reflect on, like, are you a fan of this sport or are you a fan of these politics? Because I know for you and I, we're a fan of this sport. Back when this sport was about inclusivity and getting everyone into martial arts and everyone is welcome and the weird personalities you get from all these different nationalities, having it take this full turn now and having there's no facade anymore for it allows for us to kind of go like, if you're a newer fan now, I kind of know your deal. You're like a white cis dude who's into gambling. You don't give a shit about martial arts. And if you come to me and go, "Oh, why do you watch UFC?" It used to be people going, "Ooh, it's kind of gross. I don't like watch people fist fighting." But now I go, "Oh, I know why you don't like it. It's because of the Trump connection, of the white nationalist connection, of the monopoly connection." And I can go, "Don't worry. I vote liberal, and I agree that all of this shit is horrible, but I'm a fan of martial arts." And I think being fully transparent about that has actually the kind of not necessarily been refreshing because it is grotesque and horrible, but it allows me to, when I see MMA fans say certain shit about Ilya Topuria or say certain shit about, like, well, I want to vote for this or like root for this person, I go, all of your opinions are invalid because I know the type of people you are. You're a bunch of brain dead, donkey brained fools. And I don't have to like even pay, because like sometimes you see like, well, I don't understand why people like John Jones as much, or I don't understand why people aren't as interested in Anderson Silva or GSP or like Nick Diaz, right? These old debates we used to have. Now I'm like, I fully get where the line is drawn. And the UFC fully made that terrible heel turn uh, in 2025, and probably looking back 7 years from now, we'll all look back, hopefully, fingers crossed, and go like, "Wow, were you a UFC Nazi sympathizer?" And I'll go, "Ah, fuck, but I did like the sport. My bad." Like, but I am a little like, it does allow me to drown out the noise from everyone else and even the organization of the UFC itself, because while it was always propaganda, while it was always power trying to control the athletes overall, it really it's so clear now that I'm like, great. It's such an easy line to draw overall. And that's my number two, which is kind of morbid, but I'm like, great. I'm glad I can
Yeah.
really. Because, Colin, to get your reaction, I don't know if you saw this. Donald Trump has floated that they're hoping to have a UFC fight card on the White House lawn sometime at the end of this year or next year. How do you feel about our sport being laundered fully in the same way Hitler used, what was it, the 1939 Olympics in Germany? Like, the full use of a sport to launder the image of a nation.
I fucking hate it.
Yeah, man. It
I mean,
fucking sucks.
part of me is like, hey, we should just become the two liberals fight fans, like, because you and I are definitely in the minority then,
Oh
like
my god,
we
by like there's probably 5% of fight fans are of a liberal persuasion. Yeah.
yeah. But like why and it's like why do we stick around for this? Maybe this will be a whole episode. Like why
Mm.
are we sticking around in a sport that we
Yeah.
know champions all the things that we detest, and that
Mhm.
we dislike so much and that we see
Yeah.
like all the people who are being like propped up as like the champions or the top people like basically just sucking the dick of all of these like right wing politicians and
Yeah.
like every time I see that happen I'm like, I will instantly root against you now. Like
Yeah.
I can't deal with it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it is a question I have to keep battling myself, but I like the thing I keep coming back to, or at least the only two, and maybe it's a cop out. Maybe once they have the fight, if they actually have a UFC card on the White House lawn, I might fully
Well,
sign out of being a fight fan. Um,
yeah, I didn't even answer that question. I can't. I no. I will not watch it. And yeah, like you just said, I might be like, you know
yeah,
what? I had a good run. I'm
yeah,
I'm jumping fully into basketball now. Like,
yeah. Well, it's one of those things too, where like if 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 the entire UFC posts itself as the brand ideology of MAGA, once MAGA goes out of style, which it will, right? Like MAGA is not something that will go on indefinitely. Nazism did not go on indefinitely. The Enlightenment did not go on indefinitely. These large political movements, neoliberalism, whatever you want to say, communism, do not go on indefinitely. If you attach your entire brand to that one style, and also like, especially because I don't know if you all know this, that big beautiful bill that just got passed by Trump and his cronies is going to absolutely butt fuck the entire electorate that voted for Trump overall.
yep.
Like once that happens, what happens to your brand identity, right?
Mm,
Do you overall kill MMA by making everyone associated with, let's say in 7 years, people view MAGA, or maybe it's 10 years, maybe it's 20 years, as an outdated, toxic policy,
mm.
right? Like, does that kill MMA? It might. It might just fully kill MMA. Which there's two topics I want to get to at the end of this about that. But like, yeah, it's good to kind of see like, all right, I see where we're at, and why do we stick around? Because I refuse to let Trump has taken so much from all of us, and that MAGA identity is taking so much from everyone. I refuse to let them take my love of martial arts, like fight sports,
Yeah.
away like I'm like, no, you don't get to decide that. Like, fuck you. Like, I can still enjoy it for the reasons I like to enjoy it. It's
Yeah.
not the reasons that the majority of the fan base enjoys it, which is shit talking and gambling, but I I like it. We like it for our own reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll get to the two questions I have at the very end of this, but let's get to your number one most exciting.
All right. I think you and I are in alignment with this one because we
Mm,
both have been silent on this thus far, in this episode. And
lay it on me.
it, it's
Ooh,
got,
say it.
it's
Say it.
got to be Topuria being
Mm,
the king of the UFC, being the first
uh,
undefeated two division champion at just 28 years old,
oh
coming
yeah.
out, taking like names left and right, just fucking becoming the superstar that we didn't deserve. He is the Batman of the current
Yes.
UFC, I feel like.
He's the one we didn't deserve, but the one we need. And goddamn do we need him. And goddamn is he special. And
Yeah.
all you dipshits with nine-toed women who don't know what the fuck you're looking at, you all need to get in line and get on the Topuria train. Because what's going to happen is I know every one of you is going to be fucking crying 2 years from now when he loses or walks away because you just became a fan in his last fight, even though you should have been a fan 5 fights ago. You should have been a fan even before the Josh Emmett fight. But even if you jumped on the Josh Emmett fight and that was your bandwagon jump, I'm fine with it. But like that was the time to jump on it. And that's what you need to learn. And all you young fans out there, I saw this with George St. Pierre and Anderson Silva and John Jones and Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway and Pantoja and every one of these people that we're celebrating now. If you wait until they're 3 or 4 fights into their title reign, you're already too late. You needed to jump on that bandwagon long ago. He is the shining light in the UFC so far. That's
And
absolutely right.
I think that's the thing. I think people need to recognize the skill, recognize the incredible generational talent that we have for the short time that we will have it if he stays true to his actual like life plans of retiring at 30, you
Yeah.
know. But I think
Well,
it's still healthy for people to like, sure, like you could be a hater. That's fine. Cause let's not forget, you were also like the number one John Jones hater, just like how I was like the number one Conor McGregor hater. Like you and I just
sure.
like flipped on that. So it's good.
Sure.
It's good for that,
All right. Hold on. What were the reasons you and I gave for being a hater for both of those people.
For me,
I
for what?
said John Jones felt like a phony and a bad person. I think you said I didn't like Conor McGregor because he seems like an asshole and full of himself. Did not both of those things play out and prove that we were correct in our initial assumptions that these were two heinous motherfuckers walking
Yes,
planet Earth? Yeah,
yes, but people still rallied behind them.
sure. What reason do people give for not liking Topuria? I don't like how cocky he is or how
Yeah.
he calls his shot. As far as I know, he's not assaulted women. He's not gone on coke benders and hit old people. He's not fled the scenes of felony crimes. He seems just like a confident motherfucker who knows what he's about
Mhm.
and delivers on it.
Yeah.
Like, when people were like, I don't like him because he's cocky. You liked John Jones and Conor McGregor when they were cocky. And when people didn't like them, it was because there was like, ooh, John Jones and Conor McGregor both have rumors about them that they're pieces of shit. And then they turned out to be pieces of shit. And
Yep.
they're like, well, I don't like Ilya Topuria because he's beating my heroes. You didn't give a shit when Conor McGregor beat your heroes or John Jones beat your heroes or Max Holloway beat your heroes. Like, all of these things feel pretty dubious, these excuses they're giving. They just seem like they're just like being crybabies about not wanting to root. And it's like, I'm not saying you have to root for anyone. You're allowed to like whoever you want to like. But you have to understand your choice is either Bryce Mitchell saying he would hang out with Hitler, or you can pick Ilya Topuria, right?
Yeah.
Like those are your options in this sport. You can pick Sean Strickland, who says women shouldn't be allowed to vote, or you can pick Ilya Topuria. Like, you need to fucking pick what side of the fence you're on and see, what do you want this sport to grow into be? Do you want it to be more Sean Strickland's and Bryce Mitchell's, or do you want it to be more Ilya Topuria's? Like, that's what you get to decide as a fan of the sport. And so pick wisely. Pick wisely,
Yeah.
motherfuckers. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
Ilya Topuria is my number one as well, but I have to also give a shout out to Colin. Have you been following the UFC antitrust lawsuit?
I saw a brief article about how, like, I think 90% or something pretty high of all the plaintiffs have like opted into it, right?
97% have opted into
Hey.
collecting their things, which means the court has their information and they will be receiving it. That 97% of plaintiffs accounts for 99% of damages being handed out. So
Mm.
the other 1% will be divvied up across the other 97%. But that means people who famously came out against the trial, like Anderson Silva, like Michael Bisping, like Misha Tate, like Brock Lesnar, all filed for the $1 to $10 million that they each were owed. This also includes Conor McGregor and John Jones, people that said they would not file against it. It also holds the records for the largest percentage of people within a class action lawsuit actually filing to get it. This is kind of a historic event
Wow.
overall. So what is fantastic is that the majority of fighters will make at least 100,000, about half will make $500,000, and over 20% will make over $1 million. And
Hey.
for those people that are only making 100,000 to 500,000, that can substantially be between 2 and 5x the amount that they actually earned while within the UFC.
Mm.
This is fantastic news.
Yeah.
They're going to get
Yeah, that's
paid.
great.
They're going to get a huge paycheck compared to what they actually earned in the UFC. Anderson Silva, who stands to make the most, will make over like nearly $11 million. This is
Jesus.
fantastic. This is almost more than all of his fight purses in the UFC combined. This is fantastic. I'm happy to see that this is actually moving forward and that everyone filed, despite people who claimed, like Michael Bisping, who called everyone who would file and take their money, I think, a loser and a crybaby. Michael Bisping, we see you. You filed for it. You're taking your, I think, $4 million check from the UFC. So think about that next time you call people crybabies and losers. It's exciting to see that they're finally getting paid out this amount of money. I wonder how much that has to factor into John Jones retiring, because I think he was on tap to make like $5 or $6 million. Yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see a tiny bit of financial justice come, especially in the midst of the great amount of financial injustice that has been going on in the United States as of late.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So that's the best shit that's been going on. Yeah, yeah. I don't
All
know.
right.
Uh, I had two questions real fast
Yes.
before the end of this. Number one, I've been seeing a ton of shit going around. We're being like, "Hey, Peyton Talbot cleaned up his uh, takedown defense. Peyton Talbot's been cleaning up his takedown defense. How come more people don't just get better takedown defense, or just get better striking defense, or just get better like kicking when they lose a fight because they don't have that ability?" Colin, I'd love to ask you this question to help you explain it to like the simpletons who listen to our podcast. But like, why isn't it just as simple as like, oh, you get taken down in one fight, next fight, just practice your takedown defense, you'll be totally fine and won't get taken down? Why is that not how this shit works?
All right. I think there are two reasons for this. One, when you're a fighter, you develop a certain style, a certain thing that plays to your strength.
Mhm.
We see it all the time. You've got, Sean O'Malley. He is really good at, sniping people with a one shot, with his range and with the speed and precision to take people out, you know. But we even saw like, he had no takedown defense against Marab, the first time around, and he tried to develop it a little bit more, but you could see it was not his strong suit, whereas it is Marab's strong suit, you know? People develop a natural style that fits to their strengths. Plugging up the holes in your game is not always the best use of your time or energy or even in your skill. Like you may not even have the ability to plug up like the deficiencies in your game, especially when your opponent is a specialist in that area. So, using the Marab and Sean O'Malley example, Sean O'Malley wanted to try to develop his takedown defense better, but that is one of Marab's greatest strengths. You're telling me that you have the ability to develop something that you're not great at to surpass someone else's like optimal strength and weapon? Like that's just not really that is not a realistic expectation to have,
Mhm.
you know? Now, there are some generational talents who can do that, like GSP. GSP was not a classically trained wrestler, yet he developed it and turned it into something that was one of his strengths and made it so that he could out wrestle the people who had spent their entire lives developing that, you know? But he is a once in a generation talent to be able to do that,
Mhm.
and that is just that is where it comes in. Sometimes talent does bring you that way, but when you work hard at it, then you have the ability to do those things. So, yeah, it's not as simple as just like, oh, you weren't good at this. Like, add this into your toolbox. Not everyone has the capability to do that, let
Yeah.
alone the coaching or the training to be able to do that. There are some like you might actually be a very talented fighter, but if you don't have the right coaching staff around you to teach you what you actually need in the way that you need it, then yeah, you're not going to be able to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And some of these fighters who try to reinvent themselves by adopting a new style, it rarely ever works out.
Mhm.
Like, I'm trying to think of an instance where a fighter was known for one thing, and then they tried to adopt something radically different, and it was, like, at all successful.
I mean, like GSP is the closest I can think of because he was primarily a
Yeah.
striker and then he picked up wrestling, but like maybe Henry Cejudo with his boxing style to that kind of point karate. But again, we're talking about an Olympic athlete and then GSP, one of the greatest pound for pound fighters of all time. Like it's very rare, kind of in the median range of people who compete in MMA to do that. But I think that's a good point. Like it's not just like it is you can't even catch up to other people. It's kind of like saying like let's say you scored really low on like the SAT in math. If you study more, it doesn't mean you're gonna score perfect, right? Like there are some people who have an aptitude for math or an aptitude for working on cars, right? Like you can't just go like, "Oh, if I just like train or if I study or practice painting, I'll be as good as Van Gogh." Or like if I just train in math, I'll be able to pick up like advanced calculus like within 6 months. Like
Mhm.
there's just a limit to what you can pick up. And then there's also a limit to like if you had 10 years, could you be as good as Van Gogh? Could you be, you know, a world-class mathematician? Like some people's brains have it, some people don't. And it's this weird thing in MMA where I think people go, well, if you just dedicate yourself, you could easily become a high-level black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And it's like, not everyone has the aptitude to be. And even if I became a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I'm not going to beat Gordon Ryan. Like, there's levels to that shit as well, right? Same thing
Yeah.
with like wrestling, right? Like, you can become the best wrestler that's feasible for you, which might be very high level, but that doesn't mean you're, I don't know. You and I have both trained with people where you're like, wow, this came really easy to you. It took me 11 years to get this good, and you got that good in like 4 years. That sucks. You know, like that can happen.
Yeah.
Um, so
But I mean,
yeah.
this is like any other sport too. Like, look in the NBA. Like one of the big, I some say praise, some say criticism of Steph Curry is like he's literally changed the meta of basketball, where everyone now takes 3-point shots and everyone
Mhm.
has developed their 3-point game, but no one is going to be as good as him. You
Yeah.
know, so like, how do you measure that? Do you? But you could still beat Steph Curry.
Yeah.
It's not just only
Well,
on him because that's a team sport too. So there's other things you can do.
yeah.
But
Well, it's a weird thing because like in seeing this, Peyton Talbot questions that kept popping up. I was like, why don't just other fighters do this? Why don't they just get their takedown defenses just as good once they lose? And it's like because that's like saying like, why don't you just get your like three-pointer shots as good as Steph Curry's? It's like it's not how it works. You can develop a three-pointer game or a takedown defense style, but that doesn't mean it's going to be good enough against the takedowns of Marab or Umar Nurmagomedov, right?
yeah,
Like you can't just say like, oh, if I just work on it for 6 months, it'll be good enough. You might never, even if that's the only thing you work on for 100 years, it might never be good enough. Um, yeah,
yeah, and
it's a
that
weird
and
thing where I feel like MMA fans do that a lot more than other sports fans. Whereas people never look at like a baseball player and go like, wow, your batting average is really low. Why can't you get it up to 500? And it's like, what are you talking about? Like,
that's not the sport. Like,
yeah, that's not how this shit works. I can't just like get it up there. What are you talking about? It's not like a matter of like will. But
but I
MMA fans seem to really think that way about specific aspects of the game.
but I do think there's two aspects to that as well. Like one, the reason like Payne Talbot could do that was okay, he's not going against like the elite of the elite yet.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so it's still so he can develop it to that level, but he's
Mhm.
also super young and talented. So he's still kind of figuring that part out. Like
Yeah.
his style is still going to be naturally evolving for a little bit.
Mhm.
When you got some like okay, like people now point out to like how Habib was like, oh, his striking was so jank. Like, why was he such like because he wasn't like a stand-up kickboxer. He was a wrestler who could then like grind it out and like beat the shit out of you when he was in an advantageous position, but he wasn't just gonna like kickbox with you
Yeah.
know. But it's like in retrospect now people are seeing that. And but also, like, MMA is one of those weird things where there are so many different areas of fighting. You've got the stand up, and even with the stand up, you've got boxing, you got kicking, you've got kickboxing, you've got clinch fighting, you've got the ground game, how to get to the ground, like in different ways to take people to the ground. And you've just got so much diversity that one person can develop or master. So that's why so many people can't do it all because there's just too much to do. So sometimes people just kind of like get middle stats and everything, but then you've got some specialists as well. And relatively speaking, MMA is young compared to a lot of sports. We're at what,
Mhm.
30 years now with the UFC? And, you know, I mean, what, like every other major sport in America has been around for what, 100 years, 100 plus years.
Yeah,
So,
minimum. Mhm.
even boxing, like boxing is called the sweet science because it's been around for so long and they've like pared it down and they've figured out they have pushed it to continuing to push it to different edges and limits, but there is a limit to what you can do there.
Mhm.
Like there you don't see boxers having to defend against the takedown. You don't see them having to defend against a kick.
Yeah.
So they're specials. They are specialists and is evolved in that direction. So you kind of can see like where it's going.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's a yeah, it's just a weird, like, short-sighted, and it's clear it's coming from people who don't train and don't
Yes.
see, like,
Yes.
how hard, like, "Oh, wow, I can really pick up punching combinations well, but goddamn, like, getting my kicking flowing into my punching is really hard," or, like, even specific submissions, man. If you've ever done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you go like, "Wow, I have
Yep.
much more aptitude for chokes or, like, submissions from my guard rather than top position." Like, you find these things just within yourself and you go like, "Man, I drill and I drill and I drill, just not making progress here." Um, I just find it so funny that some UFC fans either discount Peyton Talbot's improvement by going like, "Well, of course, because he trained for 6 months doing takedown defense, so of course his takedown defense would be really good." And then some people are like, "Why can't other people do that?" It's like, bro, that's not how any of this shit works. Like, some of you can like, I don't know, some of you need to like go code for a minute or go like try to do advanced mathematics, or some of you come do like retail work and do customer service and be like, wow, I suck at one of these things. I'm really bad at one of these things. And even when I practice, I'm not going to get better, or I might get better, but it'll be really slow compared to the other one.
Mhm.
And that's what MMA is, right? You
Yeah.
can't just be like, I'm going to be a great customer service advocate and coder and strategist and marketer and salesman, and I know how to sew a coat and I know how to run. Like, there are so many different facets to everything that goes in MMA. Like, you can't just say, oh, if you just go train it, there will just be a natural linear curve for
Yeah.
everyone. Like, oh, if
Yeah.
I put in 7 days, I get 7 times better. It's not how it works.
No. Yeah.
Um,
And it's
yeah.
yeah. Fighting is also one of those things where it's easy to say, oh, you should. And in every sport, you have the armchair expert, but like
Yeah.
the moment someone tries to do fighting for real, like not like a cardio kickboxing class, like they actually go in, they
Mhm.
do the drills, and if they even make it to sparring, like the fall off of most people doing that is like one of the highest percentages.
Yeah.
Like fighting is not meant for the vast majority of people. Like
Yeah.
it just isn't. Like so many people are not cut out for that. Whether it's the intensity of the workouts, the fact that you're fucking getting punched in the face repeatedly or hit in the body or whatever, it's people aren't cut out for it, you know?
Yeah.
So like you don't understand that until you stick it out for a decent amount of time to see like, oh, there's improvement, but how much did I have to pay to make that
Yeah.
improvement?
Yeah. Well, and there's, I think, at least for me, that I can identify, and there's probably more, but there's like three big, huge gatekeepers to that, which is like number one, like your natural fight or flight physical reaction to getting hit. Like some people are like totally cool with getting hit and can be like, no problem. I'll move forward. I'll figure it out. And some people react really badly to it.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Oh
like
yeah.
so, and I feel like you can't. Maybe some people are right on the fence and you can kind of train that bad reaction out of them. But I think at least 90% of the cases I've seen, if you've got a bad reaction, you're not cut out for it, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah,
being like
yeah.
a bodybuilder and being like 5'4". It's like, well, you're
Yep.
just not going to be Mr. Olympia. Like it's just not going to happen for you, buddy. Right? There's also like a cardiovascular ability, right? Like if you just have like kind of like if you just have like naturally bad cardio and you can't push yourself cardiovascularly, you can't push through that mentally, like you're just not going to cut it. Even if you can take the punishment from punches to the face, like fighting is an endurance sport. It's not a power sport. It's not like a skill sport. It's not golf. It's not powerlifting. It's an endurance sport.
Yeah.
So if you can't hang out in an endurance sport, like you're fucked.
Yep.
Um, yeah. And then the other is also like people really underestimate it. The hand-eye coordination to actually like punch correctly and like return it to the right position. It's not like doing a dumbbell curl or like doing a push-up. Like you gotta like aim the punch, you gotta deliver it, you gotta pull it back, and then at the same time, the target that you're trying to hit is moving, and you're also moving at the. That takes a lot of hand-eye coordination, and if you got shitty hand-eye coordination, bro, you're fucked. You're
Yeah.
so fucked. Um, so yeah, you just have a lot of stuff where it's just like you have to pass those three gates before you can even begin to improve your skills.
I think a
Alrighty,
big part of it too, also, and not to keep belaboring this point, is the bar for entry is way lower than other sports. Like every other
yeah,
sports, they have development. Like you have pee wee, you have high school, you have college, and it just filters out so many people, that way. But it also has avenues to develop you that way. Whereas for fighting, it's like, if you want to fight, you can go just like sign up for like one of those weekend matches somewhere on the amateur circuit, basically.
Yeah, well, I think John Nash had said it, which was like an interesting. He's just come out with which I encourage everyone to go read on Yahoo Sports about how the number of MMA matches worldwide are declining year over year.
Oh,
Even though the UFC is staying pretty consistent. But like, right, there's no more feeder leagues. There's no more like B leagues like Bellator, right? Like one is basically bankrupt, so it's basically PFL, the UFC, and then a lot of those like smaller organizations that would be feeder leagues up into the UFC are basically going away because no one can
yeah,
turn a profit. Which again, you have to wonder: is the UFC turning the general audience away from MMA because of its turn to the right wing audience, or are they realizing that MMA, kind of like X Games, was a fad, and then now it's really dipping, and so they're trying to squeeze as much money out of it. Who's to say? But of 40,000 people in 2020 or 2019 that competed in MMA, 40,000 people. How many made it to the UFC? How many made it to the UFC and were even names you knew about?
Mm,
Right? Like, to go have a professional fight and then be like, this shit ain't for me. Like,
yeah,
it's that's a hard thing to do. It's not like just going and like trying out for like you said, a softball league, or like, I don't know, like a low contact sport. Like, you gotta go fist fight someone in a cage and then go, do I
yeah,
want to do this? Right? And these are professional fights. These aren't even including amateur fights. And like a lot of these professional fights, I think the median salary was $2,400, right? Like you're going
jeez,
to fight for fucking peanuts, man. Like,
yeah.
ugh. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, I had a second question. It was more about the right wing turn of MMA, but we'll save that for later. We already had a long conversation. No point in talking about that.
Uh,
Um, there's no fight this weekend. Um, I will say Trump just passed this big beautiful bill today that you're listening to this, unless you're listening to it past the day it was published. Uh, it is July 4th, which means America, think about how many visas are going to be denied to amazing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coaches, kickboxing coaches from the Netherlands, Thai coaches from Thailand. Think about how much MMA will be deprived by what the Trump administration is doing, because you're going to get a
mhm.
lot less great trainers coming in to the USA to help out train you in mixed martial arts and martial arts overall, the thing that you supposedly love. Um, anyway, this has been Two Fight Fans Podcast. I'm one Fight Fan Stuart.
And I am a liberal fight fan.
That's
Call
right.
it.
I'm a liberal fight fan too. And hey, everyone, get behind me. I'm gonna suck Topuria's dick, and let's all line up because that's what we're supposed to do. All right, everybody. Bye.